What up, though, homies and homies? It's your homeboy Grand Tizzle, and we back. I dropped off a little session the last time I was here. We put together a little something, and it was for the purposes. I didn't do no commentary or nothing like that. Just wanted to share the process. It was just a little small little process. It wasn't really no big deal, but there was a reason why I did it, and it's this thing that we're going to have to get off into. So I'm approaching the community with this, I guess you could say, it's not a new idea. It's not a new concept. It's been around for a while, but I think we may have overlooked it, and we also may have overlooked the importance of it. And I know we have over here a reason because we wasn't dealing with VSTs. Now, because we're going to be starting to deal with VSTs in the next, what is it, 9 days or 8 days? That look like that's almost less than 7 days, man. It's countdown, baby. But I want to bring something. I want to bring something to your attention, and I don't know how many of you is familiar with it. And there has been a few comments and a little bit of going back and forth a little bit with people that don't understand it, including myself. Well, I didn't understand the importance of it. I knew about it, but I just didn't understand the importance of it. But with VSTs, the game is a little different. The game is a little different. But anyway, let me go ahead and say this word. It's called gain staging. It's gain staging. And I've been hearing about it, and I've been going back and forth with, different people. And I'm like, you know what, let me investigate this because it makes sense. The argument makes sense, but it's kind of irritating because there was a lot of people that would put a lot of emphasis on gain staging when they would watch, the production and the mixing, and a lot of complaints was, you're in the red, you're in the red, you're in the red. So I'm like, that never really made a difference with us hip hop producers. It didn't matter. Just produce, make good music, make sure don't distort, put it out, and call it a day. And for the most part, and what I felt by reason and the the bandwidth and the 32 floating bit, and I figured it wasn't. It really, honestly, it wasn't an issue. That's how I felt. But I did a little bit of more deeper investigation, and I have found something to be true. I have found something to be true, fam. And we're going to go over it a little bit in a few moments if you bear with me. But with majority of the VST plugins that come out, gain staging, especially for the digital domain, the DAW, it was something that had to be done so that you can get the optimal sound from these plugins. And it originates, and I'm not going to get too deep off into it, but it originates from the fact that when we was using analog, there was a battle between getting loud enough levels high above the noise floor. Because everything, everything audio, everything analog, it all came with a noise floor. You cut on a dynamic preamp, you're going to get some noise. That's why the more the preamp cost, the less noise it gave you. And when you think about something like a console with all of the circuitry, all the electricity that's going through it, all of the voltage, you're going to get a noise floor. So you think about, you pulling up a SSL console with, 48 channels minimum. And then you got to cut on this preamp, and you got to cut on that preamp. Then you got to cut on this compressor, and you got to cut on that compressor. Then you got to cut on this microphone. Then you got to cut on these speakers. And you got to cut on, after you cut everything on in that room to get your session started, you're going to have a very significant noise floor. So the idea was to always raise the levels high enough so that you can get a really good signal, a loud signal, but without distortion. Now the difference with digital and analog is that with analog, you can you can push it a little higher. You can push it all the way up into the yellow, where maybe sometimes you even slightly hit the red a little. And in the back in the days, that was a little pleasing if you had the right consoles, if you had the right equipment, if you had a really good compressor like a Fairchild or something like that. It was a little pleasing to get that subtle saturation, that subtle distortion. But for the most part, most engineers followed the rules. They kept it clean. Hip hop came out and we kind of started pushing the envelope because we want loud. So they brought that. So when the VSTs came out, the VSTs kind of emulate that. They emulate that sound. And not necessarily for the saturation, not necessarily for the distortion, the pretty, analog distortion, but for the frequency, for the sound, for the frequencies, for lack of better words, the frequencies that it gave out, the different color that a API would give, or the color that a Neve console would give out, or the color that a SSL 4000E or any other SSLs. They have each of these hardware have different tonalities and they got different colors. So when these VSTs came out, they came out to mimic that, to emulate that sound. But they came out with a specific rule, and the rule was so that your audio would hit a certain level. It would hit this certain level, okay? Now, this is something to educate yourself on if you're not educated on it, because I did some of my own personal research, personal journey, and I have found this to be true. I found it to be true, fam. So, I comment all the time, I ain't gonna claim that I know everything. You know what I'm saying? And I don't. We are always constantly learning something. I'm good with hip hop production, this, that, and the other, R&B, or whatever it takes. Good music, good creativity, but you're still always learning, real true fundamentals of, mixing and mastering and things like that. Now I do have, I do understand the fundamentals of mixing and EQ and things like that. I even give a course on it. But as far as this DAW situation and where proper levels should be, this was a little bit of new, deeper information that you actually gotta investigate. You should investigate in this because, again, we wasn't frequently using VSTs, so we really don't gather the importance of levels. And they use this word, it's called sweet spot. And what the argument is that for you to be able to get the most optimal sound coming from these VSTs would be to find the sweet spot, or but you put your line level or your audio going at this level is going to give you the best sound out of this particular plugin. So it's very important when you invest in $300-400 per plugin, and you're buying hardware that's $1,000 to emulate the sound. It's pretty important for you to follow the guidelines on where they tell you should be. Now, UAW in particular tell you that the sweet spot, your line level, should be around -18 decibels. A few other places would tell you should be in a facility of 10 decibels. So that's all in this area. I'm gonna zoom in here. That's between 20 and 10. Now, us as producers and hip hop producers, and all of us for the most part, we really totally ignore this. We just ignore all this. We don't get into it. We don't look into that. It sounds good, it's banging, it's knocking, whoop, whoop, good, bam, bam, bam. But the problem is, at the end of the day, we wondering why we can't really get a good mix. Actually, we can get a very good mix. But when it comes to, if we decided that we want to, for example, do our own mastering, and we pull up something like T-Rex, or we run it through a maximizer or something, the SSL or something, we wondering why we're not hearing what we should be hearing. For example, it just may be too hot for any of these plugins to work. I mean, for any of these things to work, it's just too hot. It's already hot. It's like it's already mastered. It's already at 0 decibels. Actually, it's pushing 0 decibels. It's pushing past 0 decibels. So there's no room for us to really hear the trueness of what these these emulated plugins is giving it no room to do anything. So it's important for us to start taking that serious and start pulling it down. Like, we don't like pulling them down. If anything, we push them up. If I got the kick drum going on, I'm pushing it up. But it's something that I discovered, and it's worth sharing it with you. It's worth sharing it with you. For example, here, I got this kick drum, this kick and snare. Okay, so right now I got a parallel going on, right? Now, we got this hitting a little bit above 10. Now, when we listen to it normally, we're used to our settings. So we're either going to do one thing or the other. We want it knocking. We do. So we're just going to turn it up. We're going to turn it up. We're going to turn it up on the hardware device. We're going to turn the volume all the way up. Oh, excuse me. Sorry about that. I turned up my mic. Sorry. I got the Apollo Twin, by the way. So we're either going to turn our headphone. We're going to turn our main up, because we want to hear it, really hard. But a lot of times we make the mistake by turning up the gain so we can get this knock. We hearing the knock. We're seeing it hitting the red. We're like, oh yeah, that sound good. It feel good. But that's wrong. And I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news. That's wrong. That's the wrong way of doing it. Ironically, here's where the laws or the rules tell us to do. Bring it down. So we bring it down. We bring the gain down. So now we see that it's hitting here. We're going to mute you too. We see we hitting at a little bit below 20. Now, universal audio or any VST plugins for that matter that deals with compressing audio or mixing audio or EQing audio, they encourage you. You don't have to follow the rules, but you're not getting the best out of what you purchased, right? So they encourage you to raise that level to roughly 18 for that particular plugin to do well. Now, let me pause this. Maybe let me see if I can find a chart to verify, or some type of manual to verify this, to show you what Universal Audio said. Now, I would have to say this is for the experts. So you're getting expert information right now. Now, I'm not an expert, but I am diligent about finding out everything that I need to know to make better sounding music, period. And once I get the information, I pass it down to y'all. Now, some information is free. Some information you have to charge simply because you got to make a living. It's just the way of life. But for the most part, things like this, to me, the way I see it, this knowledge should be known all over. This should be common knowledge. And if this was common knowledge, this would be one less thing that we have to worry about. But of course, the elite, the power players, they withhold this information, but it's a lot of information about gain station around there. So let me take that back. But anyway, let me pause this to see if I can pull this up real quick. And I'm gonna show you what I'm talking about. All right, fam, I did a little looking around and I just couldn't find it. And I didn't really want to waste like a whole hour looking for it. I know it's in the manual. It's in the manual somewhere. I forget actually where I've seen it. But what I would encourage you to do, because showing you just that, showing you the chart is not enough. I encourage you to read this article by soundonsound.com. And here is the link here. It says techniques, and then it says gain staging your DAW software, dash, dash, dash. Okay. And basically what they talk about is the difference with how gain staging was important in analog. And I come from the analog era with, recording at United Sound System recording studios and recording at the disc with, George Clinton and people on Funkadelic, and just dealing with that real true old school. The disc had actually they still got an SSL, and when I went to school there, they taught about gain staging, but it's slightly different from the digital. And I want you to read this article so that you can understand the difference. There is a difference, and there's a reason why newer engineers or young engineers approach mixing different than the older engineers. So just when you get an opportunity, go read it. Please do. Because keep this in mind, fam, we are the future generation of producers and engineers. Engineers and producers are one and the same now. There are expert engineers, there are expert producers, but a lot of us are DIYs. We are do-it-yourselfers. So being that we're do-it-yourselfers, when you're in a situation, when you're in a position where you can't hire expert mixing engineer, then you have to do it yourself. So to understand just some basic fundamentals is good enough. It's kind of like producing and not knowing music theory. Know music theory. Learn it if you want to take your craft seriously. So anyway, with all that being said, read that, because by reading that, then you can come back to this video and you can understand, you can have a deeper understanding of what I'm talking about around here. So what I found is that when you properly gain stage, which means when you adjust your levels to the lower levels than what the average producer, the average modern day hip hop producer, hip hop R&B producer is used to, because keep in mind again, we're not mixing engineers, we're producers. So, but we still, we're left with the responsibility to mix our own material. That's on us. And if you producing, 5, 10, 20 tracks a week, that's a lot of money if you want to, mix that stuff in the studio. So, it's beneficial for you to at least learn the fundamentals. So anyway, what I picked up was that gain staging, proper gain staging allows you to really, truly get the fullness of the sounds. It allows you to get the fullness of the plugins. And that's an issue because Reason now allows plugins. And the thing is this, fam, when you're using your plugins, you want to use them right. You want to use them right. When you spend your money on plugins, you want to use them right. So it's not a learning curve. It's not a learning curve. There's just some slight adjustments that we need to make. So back in the day, we ignored these here. We ignored the inputs, the gains. We ignored them. But these are there for a reason. They always have been. And it's basically to gain structure for your mixing. So what I encourage you to do, you can do anything you want, but what I encourage you to do is get into a habit of gain staging, probably even before you start producing. And the reason why I say that is because when you start making your tracks, and then now it's time to mix it, and now you have to go up here and gain stage everything, that's going to cause some subtle anxiety if you're in the habit of hearing everything loud and distorted, digitally distorted. It's going to bother you. It bothered me. You know, like, well, I'm hot. I'm good. It sounds good. I like how hot. What distortion is bad? Well, it sounds good bad. And that may be a legitimate argument from somebody that's, you know, kind of naive to the situation. But what I can say is that gain staging sounds better. It sounds better when you pull the volumes down. When you set your levels to around 18 to 12 minus decibels, it actually sounds better. It's cleaner, and you can actually hear the plugins do what it's intended to do. All right. We'll talk about it a little bit more, especially over at todaysbeats.com. But what I'm going to do right now is this. Check this out. We're gonna go ahead and put some mixes on this kick right here. So we at 20 right now. So what I like to do is go over here and remove like all the things that I don't need, like effects, EQ, dynamics, inserts. And I like to leave fader and input so that I can see where my gain is. And then I adjust my gain, and I'll turn it up to a place where it's this would be considered the sweet spot. Now there's a reason for it. It's because it's above the noise level, which ironically there is no noise when the music is actually coming from the computer. So that's one of the primary reasons why you can turn it down so low. Now, of course, we can turn the gain up, and it just sounds good because that's what we like. We like loud and punchy and good. But that's distorted, actually. That's distorted. And it really don't affect you until you have everything hitting like that. See, like right now, if we got this kick, we like, man, this kick is bumping. That's what's up. You know what I'm saying? It's just used to what we hearing. And I'm talking in normal human, you know, rap hip hop terms. I'm not talking in expert engineer terms. I'm talking about us producers, hip hop. We just like knock. We like volume. We like vibe. So we just gonna turn it up so it can feel good instantly. We ain't trying to really follow the rules right now. But when we do it this way, we're missing out on a lot of the sweetness, and the experts know this. So I'm here to inform you, not necessarily educate. I want you to educate yourself on this. Gain staging, gain structuring. But the rules is that this got to be turned down, baby. Right? Okay, so now that seems like that's a little too low. Right? Well, actually, in the case of what we're talking about, that is too low. So we want to turn this up to somewhere between 18 and 18 and 12, negative 18 and 12. So that leaves us in this range right here. So we got the 20 and we got the 10. So if we fall within this here little circle, we're good. Now, a good thing happens when you fall inside of this range. I'm going to pull up the Millennium, and this is the kick that I'm using. So what I'm going to do is, I erased everything. I had everything kind of set up. I turned off the room and the overdrive that Reason give us because I want to put my own sounds in there. So I learned this from Big Vic. Shout out to Big Vic. You know, he helped you to understand how to take the combinator and take the sounds that's in Kong and actually separate these sounds. So what I learned over there from his video was that you select the channel and then you go down to your drop And then, wait, what did he say? Let's see. The output would be 3 and 4. Okay, yeah. So assign these to outputs and make your mix channels. So that made, I forget, sheesh. Okay, I'm goofy. All right, so let's see. So 3 and 4, so that swings up to this right here. So we had 1. All right. So let's turn this around. Hit my tab. I'm gonna turn it around. Let's play it again. Okay, so we see we're at 1. So what I'm gonna do is I want to put the API on it, right? So we put the API in there, and by the levels being where they're supposed to be, that's considered the sweet spot level or gain. So for you to be able to get the sweetness of this. Now, if it's too low or if it's too high, you're missing the sweet spot of something like an API. Now, it's just not universal audio, fam. It's pretty much any VST that's dealing with music. If you have to run audio through one of their plugins, the rule is to run it primarily at a level of -18, which you see here, to -12. They don't want you in this area, definitely not up here. Red is dead. So that's the reason why a lot of not a lot, because a lot of people don't even know this, but a few people that was on my site was like, you in the red, you in the red, you in the red. And it just caused a stir. And if you don't understand it, or you don't know it, or you don't appreciate it, or you don't gather that, you're gonna have an issue with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, you overthinking it. You know what I'm saying? That's pretty much, for the most part, what our vibe is, But that's not necessarily true. Now, what I want to say is that right now we're in the sweet spot, right? So check this out. I don't know if you can hear it. I'm gonna turn it up. Oh, it's loud. It's loud in my headphones. Now, I don't know if you can hear it. It's at default. But when you turn it on, you get a little something. So I'm not going to expect you to hear it. I ain't even going to go there with you. But what I will say is, if you hypothetically, let's say you go to these presets here. I like to start off with presets just to get familiar with what this particular channel, mixing channel can do. Now, I done made a few of them myself. But when you listen to it, you actually can hear what it does. You can really truly hear what that preset does. Now, on the other hand, if it was too loud or if it was too low, you wouldn't be able to actually hear what that preset can do to that particular kick. So let's A/B it. So this is A, that's the original. That's the B. So you can hear like a little meat to it. You can hear a little small little snap to it. Hear a little bit of body to it. That's the A. That's the B. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to wrap this concept around your head, fam. This is important. What's important is that we respect levels. We respect gain, right? There's laws and there's rules with volume when it comes to, volume and mixing and mastering and being, print on CD or print on wax or played on the radio. There's laws and rules. So what I want you to try to understand, what I want you to try to gather is that our goal is to use these knobs and use these tools and use these compressors and use these gates to shape and construct the sound exactly the way we want it to sound. Once we do that, we don't confuse it with level or volume. It's important. We don't confuse it with level or volume. And what I mean is, if you want this kick to knock, then you tweak it using the EQs to make it knock. But what's important is that if it knocks in the whatever frequency you pull, or adjust, or dip, or tuck, or boost, you pay attention to over here. And if you raise your frequency, if whatever frequency that you tweak to your own personal liking, if you raise it past that sweet spot or the rule spot between 18 and 12 negative decibels, if it goes up to your 9s or your 6s or your 3s, then you use your output to pull it down back to where it needs to be. All right? Now that was something, I'm going to be honest, brutally honest with you, embarrassingly honest with you. That was a concept that I didn't grasp. It didn't wrap around my head because I was enjoying the levels. So after I did my tweaking, I got the frequency that I was looking for. I want a specific knock. I want a little bite. I want a little sheeny little meat, ting ting at the top of the drum. And along with that also came the volume. And I was enjoying the volume all along, disregarding the rules. So what would end up happening is the mix would be fatiguing. It would be fatiguing because I wanted my snare to hit a certain way. I wanted my kick to thump a certain way, but I never pulled the volume back down to the authority level for room for other dynamics or anything like that, right? So when it came to producing a final mix or dumping the exporting the final audio, it was ended up being too loud to master. It was too loud to master, but without mastering, I couldn't get it no louder. So yes, it was loud, but it wasn't cohesive. The sound wasn't gelled together the way songs were supposed to gel together. So yes, although it was loud, there was peaks and valleys, and it just wasn't clean. It wasn't meshed together the way it's supposed to. Now this is advanced talk right now. If y'all made it this far, y'all, you know what I'm saying? You really considering what your homie Grand Tizzle is talking about. This is advanced talk. This type of talk, people, I've been shutting this down for a long time, and I'm an advocate for sound. I'm an advocate, so I know a lot of us others was doing the same thing. Now I got to give a special shout out to Shirt. If you listening this far, you've been told me about gain structure. You've been told me about the gain levels up here, and I was just like, well, at that time I was like, okay, and I listened and I followed, but I didn't fully understand where you didn't explain to me why. You just told me that this is where I should adjust my levels first and foremost. And so I heard you and I followed, but when I got these plugins and I'm like, okay, my material should sound like this, that, and the other, it was definitely sounding better for sure, but there was something that was still missing. And it was that there is an instruction manual that come with these plugins, and there's a typical general rule that come with these plugins, and that's the rule, fam. The rule is gain staging. And when you properly gain stage, you can get the best of all the worlds. And now you're on that expert level, and now your music is really going to have a different twitch, a different sound, a different vibe. All right, so let me run a few more things by you real quick. We're gonna put this on loop so it can just stay where the kick is at. I'm gonna hold Alt here and click so we can bring this loop here. Okay, so all right. Okay. All right. So this was one of the plugins. Now what I've been doing lately is creating what I've been doing just to get familiar with what that particular plugin does. I will pull up the preset and I would dump the preset and I would see how it sounds, and then I will make my adjustments accordingly. Now, being a hip hop producer, I like drum knock. You know, I just like it. But each kick drum presents a different thing, a different frequency. So I will go through the different defaults until I found something that suits that particular drum sound, because I got different drum sounds with different drum characteristics, right? So I would toy around and search around until I found something in particular that I like. And in particular, what I want this one to do is kind of like literally punch through the mix. Okay, so that's a good one. This is a good one. It got a meaty sound to it and everything. Now, here's the good thing. As a rule of thumb, what they encourage you is, you set the gain staging right when two things happen. When you properly gain stage, when you properly set your levels properly, your gain properly, when it runs through the preamp, you should be able to run through different presets. And the different presets is going to give you a different characteristics. Each preset is going to give you a different characteristic. And as long as it's not too loud or too low, that's when you know you got proper gain staging. Now, every now and again, a frequency or a compressor may boost the sound or may turn the sound down. If that's the case, for example, if we wanted to stay, let's say at negative 18, but we see that it's peaking at negative 15, then we go to our output and then we pull it back a little so that it remains at 18. And it's something that you're going to have to get used to. We're not used to it. I'm going to be honest with you. I wasn't used to it, but I got addicted to the sound quality because I'm an advocate for sound. So I got addicted to the sound quality. And what's cool is that now when I tweak these, I can really hear it. I can hear the difference. I can hear that it got muddled. I can hear that it got thin, but it's a clean thin. It's not a distorted. It's not a loud thin. So now I'm saying to myself, okay, I like this, but now you know what I want? I want more of a knocky knock. So I can adjust my frequencies now. That put a little bit more Brit, a little bit more top end to it. You know, this here, it add that real true bottom knock. That's pulling it back. That adds that bottom knock. Now that's a super duper bottom knock. Now again, the goal is to keep that sound, but make sure that you stay in the laws or within the safety zone, right? So yeah, this is the frequency that I want, but this is not the volume that I want. So I need to turn my output down. Do that mean that I lose that frequency? No, absolutely not. It just means that I still got that frequency. I still got that knock. I still got that boom. I still got that rumble that I wanted. But it's just falling within the rules. And then I make any other adjustments that I need to make. For example, if I pull it down too low, then I feel like I'm losing that little punch or that little bite, that little sharpness. Then I turn up my threshold in the compressor, tightening up the top end a little, adjusting my ratio. Adjust my ratio so that it won't smash down the sound too much, push down the transients too much. Adjust the hard or the soft knee. I will adjust the new console or the old console and see if it falls into something that sound appealing or pleasing to me. And then I'll go up here because I know that these frequencies, and you got to mess around with, you have to mess around with your plugins to know the characteristics of what it's going to do. So this is giving me the punch, the knock, the bite that I want. If you need to hear it loud or whatever the case may be, or try to get used to hearing it, low. You know what I'm saying? But now here's the idea, fam. We still got that knock, we still got that punch, we still got that bottom, but it's not distorting. It's not peaking. We got a lot of headroom. So if we did want to turn it up, we can. And it's still not going past 10. And you can really hear that knock. But we want to keep it safe. You know why? Because there's other things that we're going to want to do. For example, I'm going to want to parallel this. And I actually already did. But I'm going to want to parallel this kick. So now they both playing together. This one is playing with the compressor. This one is playing absolutely completely raw. So let's turn this all the way down and then turn it up. So it's giving it some type of body, like fullness. Now I got my headphones on. I had this all set up and everything like that, but I got my headphones on and I'm kind of starting fresh with you guys, so And for the most part, that pretty much summarized the idea. Now I don't have no compression on my parallel. Why? Because I want the raw sound of that drum. But we're going to turn it down. So I want the punch version. Then I want the real raw version. And what that does, it gives me a real nice New York kick drum. Okay, so now let me take these off here. Now, this is not going to be a mix session, but what I did want to talk to you guys about is the importance of gain staging. So what we're going to do here, maybe we come back on another session, or maybe I can show this over at todaysbeats.com, but the gain staging, the proper gain staging for all these sounds, so that we can have an optimal mix. Now, can I pull off a good mix without gain staging? Of course, yeah. No. Let me take that back. Can you pull off a mix without gain staging? Of course. Can you pull off a good mix without gain staging? In my opinion, no. In my humble opinion, no. You want to gain stage, properly gain stage, so that you can have an optimal mix. you can have optimal headroom, and you can have room for your VST plugins to work good. And you know, at the end of the day, you really get a really good sound coming from everything. So let me show you how this sounds without proper gain staging. Okay, sorry. So I know it came on blasting and loud and all that type of stuff, but let's just go to the bridge and then let's loop that. So what I'm gonna do is bear with me for a second, fam, because a lot of this stuff is finna come on loud because it's been unstaged. All right, so just bear with me. Maybe you might want to turn your monitors down or whatever. All right, so we're gonna start with this here, and you know what, I may have actually turned some of this down because I really don't want to ruin your speakers and you guys be like, man, I hate this. I hate listening to his videos. Okay, so with gain staging in mind, I'm bringing up these levels at a listening level. So I see the peak there. So we want to stay in our 20s. So we're not concerned about, you know what I mean, nothing else. We could turn this up. Now also keep in mind, since we're in our 20s, between our 20 and 10, still mix accordingly. Don't use the levels here. Only use the levels for effect reasons, but use the gain or the volume control in the channel in the sequencer down here. But right now the gain stages should be sufficient. And what I suggest, and this is my own personal suggestion, is that you set your kick and your snare, especially for hip hop production. You set your kick and your snare first, and then build everything else around that, because you do want your kick and snare the loudest. Now, this is just my approach, fam. I could be wrong, but again, this is hip hop. This is not rock. It's not R&B. It's not jazz. It's no other genre. It's hip hop. So with hip hop, you do want the kicks and the snares in your face, and everything else kind of play backstage or play the bench. So we keep that in mind. All right. Okay. That can go down a little. This hi-hat can go down a little. Now what's important though to me is I got that kick. I got that kick where I want it. I got the frequency of the kick exactly the way I want it. So when we get to doing some mixing or some mastering or some raising some levels, or like right here, putting the master compressor, like we put this master compressor on, right? And everything is set at default. Let me make sure everything is set at default. If we pull that back and we turn that makeup up, you can hear it. You can hear it, right? And it's not distorted. See where it's not even going past 0. Where it's doing a little peaking right there. You get the picture. But we're gonna put that on last after we do our little mixing here. So again, we want to keep these. We want to tweak the frequency where we want it, and then we want to adjust the levels accordingly. Okay. got that knock that I want. So we're gonna need to pull that back. You hear that? Can you hear it? I can hear it. So it's important that you can hear it, because at the end of the day, that's what's important. That's what you want. You know, you want your listener to hear that thump, to hear that knock, and you want it to be follow the rules. All right. Okay. So that's at a decent level there. I think that's cool, actually. Now, don't get it twisted, fam. Don't think that everything in your track have to be with, you know, at 20 to 10. Don't think that. That's not the way it should be. Everything should be heard, and everything should be placed in a way where it's not distorted or it's not too low, unless you want it. See, sometimes when you want sounds low, you understand what I'm saying? But you still want to gain stages so that it's at a level cohesive to the rest of the track. All right. So that was something that was kind of hard for me to wrap my head around, honestly. You know, do you set everything? Do everything have to be at 18 decibels? Well, let's try to keep this in mind. If you're using a plug-in, if you want to use a plug-in and the plug-in sweet spot is negative 18 decibels, then maybe yes. But you always want to remember that you may want to pull the output down. For example, here, if that was your decision, then you may want to pull the output down here so that you can remain in a particular area. Now, for us to get the optimal sound of this, because just because we pull the output down, we didn't mess with the frequencies or the transients that we produce by using this. We're just pulling the overall gain down. We're not pulling down transients. We're not cutting transients. We're not, it's not like how a compressor cuts off transients and things like that, or smash down transients. We're not doing that. We are setting the frequencies. We're setting the gate. We're setting the low and the high pass. We're setting the compressor. And once we get the sound where we want it, then we pull the output down so that it can fit in an optimal range. So you want to try to keep that in mind when you're mixing. And it's all about getting the best levels, the best sound. You know what I mean? It's all about getting the optimal levels in your tracks, without distortion and without noise. So just try to keep that in mind when you're producing or when you're mixing. You may want to produce loud and then do your gain staging before you're mixing, but just keep that in mind. So I may do something like that to take out the low end to leave room for the kick and the sub. That's at a good range. We still got the gain to work with if I wanted to pull it down a little bit more, because we do want our kick and drums to stand out. Hovering around 20 here. Now this is the piano. So remember, we're really trying to keep it clean as possible. Now the reason why you see I'm rolling off a little bit of warmness here, because what I'm doing is, because typically I would like it like this, right? But the reason why I'm doing it that way, put that back at 0. Oops, sorry about that. Didn't mean to do that. I forget. Okay. Normally I would like to do that, but I want my sub to be super duper tight when the mastering comes. And for me personally, for me to make it super duper tight, if I can roll off the rumbling frequencies, like the lower rumble part, then when I go to my mastering and get those levels brought up, it can be more controlled. You understand? It could just be more controlled. Now what I like to do personally, especially since I got like T-Rex, I like to do a mix. Then I like to mix it down. And I always like to reference to something else. So I'll find something that's similar to this, and I'll dump that in there, and I'll listen to it raw. Then I will, and we'll do a session. We'll do another one, showing you exactly what I do. But I go back and forth. It's never a final mix for me. I could go through a mix maybe 2 or 3 times, and the first time what I like to do is listen to the overall sonic range and then compare it to something that's out. And then I'll listen to the lows, the mids, and then the highs. And then I'll discern what's too bass heavy, what's too mid-rangey, and what's too high piercy. And then I'll go in there and adjust accordingly. Then I'll make another mix down, and then I'll dump it in here, comparing it to the other industry track that's there, and then I'll listen then. And usually I can hear, okay, that sound good, that sound better. The high end frequency is not fatiguing, but the low is still a little heavy. So let me go ahead and go over here, and we'll bring this down. I would probably say we're going to bring this down a little more. A couple of decibels more. We're going to just bring that frequency down a little more. And then I go back over to the masterer, and I listen, and I'll be like, bam. That's it. So we're going to keep it like that. We're going to lock it here, and we're going to move forward. So those are just the little small little things that I do. Again, I'm not an expert, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not claiming to be an expert, but it is important for me to, when you produce, or when I'm producing, I want to have the best sound possible with my, I guess you can say, for lack of better words, amateur brain when it comes, because I'm not an expert at mixing and mastering. I understand it. I understand the fundamentals. I understand the basics. But there's pros that's been doing it for longer than I've been producing, or if not as long as I've been producing. So they can't produce like me, and true enough, I can't mix like them because they know some different things. But one of the things, if you can pick up something from this lesson, fam, pick up the fact that gain staging or gain structuring is as important as your production. All right. So I'm gonna wrap this up, and we'll come back. We're gonna talk a little bit more, because the reason why I wanted to talk about that is because VST is being introduced to Reason, and that's going to mean that we have to adjust some mindsets. We gotta adjust a few different approaches. It's not long. It's not hard. It's not tedious. You understand what I'm saying? But it's just some changes. It's just some mindset changes that we have to respect. We got to respect it. Okay. So again, if you spent $400 on this preamp, you spent $150 on that plug-in, or you spent this on that, then you want to get them all at a sweet spot, and the sweet spots is by law somewhere between 18 decibels and negative 12 decibels for DAW. Give or take. All right. Give or take. So don't be on there arguing like, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, fam, I just wanted to share that with you. I'm really excited. We got, let's look at the calendar here. This is the 22nd. Next Monday, fam, is going down. So hopefully I can drop something every day up until that point. All right. If you want some detailed tutorials, I'm going to play something for you real quick, because it's something that I'm working on. And if you're interested in getting off into the details of this, then make sure y'all join me over at todaysbeats.com. But this is a song that I produced with a longtime friend. We've been working with each other for a while, and I just recently found her. Her name is Chosen, and we produced a track called True Friends. Now, I'm going to play this for you real quick, and I'm going to tell you the story about it before we wrap this up. I'm going to tell you the story about it. I sent her the track. Well, actually, we did the song a long time ago for somebody else, and they never used it, and she wanted to use it again for her own project. And she sent me some vocals that she recorded on her iPhone. She sent me one track of unedited, everything was raw, on her iPhone. She recorded it. She put on, actually, I don't think she put on headphones to listen to the instrumental. She just sung it. What I did, fam, I wanted to push the envelope and see how powerful Reason is with all of this new stuff added. So I added the SSL mixer to her vocals, and I treated her vocals with the Teletronic preamp, and I use auto tune, or what's that thing we got here? Not auto tune, but and she don't need it. Neptune pitch adjuster. I just did all these things. And make a long story short, I took some of her main vocals and I used edit mode on the vocals to create harmonies. So she only sent me a lead, but everything you about to hear was created from scratch. The harmonies, the ad-libs, everything you hear was all from one vocal. And over at todaysbeats.com, I'm doing an entire walkthrough tutorial showing you step by step exactly how it was done. All she did was send me her iPhone vocals. So, if you know about iPhones, you know that iPhones have a condenser microphone. Pretty doggone good sounding mic. It's not a Neiman or anything like that, so you may hear some noise in the background. But what I wanted to see personally was how the SSL would hold up, how the gate would remove background noise and things like that. And I think it did a fairly decent sound, but you be the judge. So I'm going to play that. And if you're interested and you want to learn more, go ahead and check it out. Go on and log on over there and see what's popping. But I'm going to see if I can play this for you and go from there.
Some things are never certain, but I know for sure that I'll always look for honesty. You can confide in me, in happiness, love will manifest. A true friend is never hard to find. As a matter of fact, they're always right there on time. In me, that's what you'll find. You know you can. There's nothing better than a true friend. There's nothing better than a true friend. And you know it when they do all they can. They sacrifice, don't tell you lies. They fuss and fight, but still they share their lives. There's nothing better than a true friend. And you know it when they accept you in. You're down and out, don't have no clout. That's what friends about. Got it down. Times are tough with things between us. We argue sometimes, things get out of line. We disagree, I'm wrong and you're right, but we know with all our might that our friendship's just so tight. And true friends, we will always be. I know and I can say this so easily. No one can ever take the place of my true friend. There's nothing better than a true friend. There's nothing better than a true friend. And you know it when they do all they can. They sacrifice, they don't tell lies. They fuss and fight, but still they share their lives. There's nothing better than a true friend. And you know it when they accept you in. You're down and out, don't have no clout. That's what friends about. Without a doubt, I will always have your back. When things are bad, I'll be by your side. You're always there for me. Give me support anytime I need. There's nothing better than a true friend. And you know it when they do all they can. They sacrifice, don't tell you lies. They fuss and fight, but still they share their lives. There's nothing better than a true friend. And you know it when they accept you in. You're down and out, don't have no clout. That's what friends about, without a doubt.
All right, so I don't know if you just heard the dithering in the end and all that type of stuff. A few other things you may have noticed, like her timing may have been slightly off, maybe sometimes fast, maybe sometimes slow. But again, keep this in mind. I was really pushing the envelope of reason. It was a challenge. It was a challenge project. And the challenge project was to see if I could take some iPhone vocals and make something actually listenable. So I had to adjust the tempo. I had to take her vocals and speed them up at parts, slow them down at parts. Some parts I just got lazy and I just didn't do nothing at all. I had to take lead vocals, make copies of it, and then run them through not Melodyne, but run them through Neptune and run them through the editor to create harmonies. So all the harmonies and all the double voices that you heard was all created. I also used waves, and we're gonna talk about that a whole lot more. I used waves. Where is this at? It was waves doubler to create, to take one vocal and make it sound like it was several of her singing. I can't find it right now, fam. But it was just a lot of things that I did, and I really actually had a lot of fun, creating it. I think I worked on it for like 2 days, after working with it, I hit her back and I was like, that turned out really, really good, especially by us not, pre-figuring things out. So I gave her some assignments. I was like, I noticed a few things. I noticed that some parts was distorted. So make sure, give me another version, but make sure it's not hot. Because I think she used GarageBand to record it, to record the vocals. I was like, make sure it's not hot. Go inside like a car or your bedroom where there's a lot of insulation, where there's not a lot of noise bouncing around. I was like, when you record it, go in your bedroom or go in your car. I said, put on the headphones, listen to the instrumental so that the timing can be right. Because really what I want to do is save as much time as possible. I don't want to edit to timing. I don't want to clean up distortion. Well, I can't use distortion at all. But I don't want to clean up noise. I don't want to use a gate because a gate takes away from the naturalness of the sound. So that's why I was like, take your iPhone and go into a quiet place. Put on the headphones for the timing. Make sure you don't distort it. And then I said, instead of me taking clips of your original hook and stacking them and turning some into harmonies, just give me the harmonies separately. So like, give me the whole lead vocal and then go back and then just do the harmony. Just do it one time, because I can take waves and double it up. There you go, doubler right there, doubler stereo. And then they got I think doubler 2, yeah, doubler 4, yeah, you know what I'm saying? You can double it up, you know what I'm saying? So, and it does a very good job, but I just need clean vocals to do that. So I do have a batch of clean vocals that I'm going to be putting to that. So we're going to do a track from scratch. And this is cool because the last couple of tutorials, we used acapellas from, celebrities. I don't know if it was Justin Bieber or I think Bruno Mars. And we did that because we didn't have no singers. But this may be a new approach. And a lot of amateurs don't have studio equipment. But a lot of people have iPhones. A lot of people have their Androids. Now, I don't know the microphone quality of an Android, but I do know the microphone quality of an iPhone is excellent. And if you use your plugins right and appropriately, you can really get some really good quality sound out of that. So I'm going to wrap this up right now. I want to thank you very, very much if you made it this far. I really, really appreciate it. It shows that you are serious about what you want to do. And if you want deeper knowledge, and you did listen this far, you may want to consider being a VIP member, because I get into the grimy grit of it. I can't do it here, I do as much as I can on YouTube, but you can't get that the type of deep knowledge stuff that you really, really want to get, unless you go over to todaysbeats.com and you really you understand what I'm saying. So I hope you benefited from this, fam. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up, and I got so much more in store for you guys, and we're gonna try to drop a little bit of knowledge every day around here. I got something I want to show y'all, and actually something that I want to give to y'all. It's called Kong Millennium. You're gonna want this, and stay tuned, pay attention to the next session, because I'm going to explain to you why you're going to want this. All right? So I guess that's it for now, fam. Finna go ahead and go to bed, cuddle with my wife, and kiss her on the back of the head, and you know what I mean. I guess that's it. That's it, fam. So stay tuned, and let me just leave y'all with this. Practice gain staging. Just get used to it, because it's the way of the West. It's the way we should have been doing it all along, all right? Don't fight with it. Don't argue with it. Just do it. It's the way it's supposed to be done. Get used to it. You won't regret it. All right, fam? So if there's any new information out there, and look into it, learn a little bit more so you can have a deeper understanding. I probably was so sloppy and retarded with explaining it to you, and I'm sure somebody gonna hit me up on the comments like, "Do you a fool? You supposed to blah 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 blah." I stand to be corrected, and I'm all right with that, man. That's how you learn. You do what you do, and you know what you know, and some experts say, you should have done it. You can just be a fool and be like, shut it, and cut them off, or you can be like, for real? Oh, okay. All right, thanks for that input and that insight. So this is one of them, gain staging, fam. So take it seriously, take it to heart, apply it to your work, and your your production, your mixes will elevate. And it don't matter what plugins you use, it's just going to elevate because you're following the rules of the powers that be. All right, so I'm out. Till the next time. See you in a minute. See you want to spin it. Thank you for listening. Subscribe, like, share, and peace.